All right. We have the microphone here again, right? We have what I've been up to. We have a sparkling beverage with lemon in it. Hopefully, I'm not shouting too loud. Hold on. I turned that away so you guys didn't have to hear that. Welcome to the weekly update, guys. I'm here to discuss what I read this week, what I'm getting into going forward this rest of this month. Kind of like a mid-month check-in, I guess, and then my reading updates. So, and I'll let you know when I get there, guys. And also some more updates in regards to D&D and some stuff with Nerd Level Rising. But let's jump right in. Again, let me thank you guys so much for all your comments, your thumbs ups, everything that you guys do down below. Subscribe, all of it. I just love chatting with you guys and talking books, talking story, whatever it may be. Keep it up, please. It's like I love when you guys put stuff on my radar. And although I'm not getting to it immediately, it is something that I intend to have. I have like a cart built up, like a wish list built up of these things that will be slowly, placing into my TBR as I go. I have to be very strict with myself and in my reading in terms like rigid. I'll say not strict, relatively rigid, just because of I'm very mood ready, if that makes any sense. I don't know if that helps you guys identify at all with how I pick my reads. But I've kind of realized that I'm more mood ready. Anyways, let's jump into what I finished reading this past week. We got done with The Way of Edan by Phillip Chase. Now, when I jumped into this book, I don't know what my expectations were. I think I thought it was going to be more leaning toward way more classic fantasy than the modern aspects of fantasy. But I was hit with some really good modern, like a new, what's a good way to explain this, to articulate this? A new way of shaping classic fantasy. There is a lot of visceral descriptions in this book that I wasn't expecting, that I was pleasantly surprised by. Characters that I really enjoyed reading, even the ones that I viscerally disliked. I loved the build up to the battle scene, the pacing, the battle scene. I mean, I don't want to spoil anything, but I feel like mostly in most fantasy, you can expect there to be a battle. I'd say in most. I understand that that's not the case all the time. Feel free to leave a comment down below of something that doesn't have that. I read a historical fiction novel, Imperium, recently, which I talk about in my other videos. There's not a single action scene in that whole book, and it's in my top 6 books of all time. But this book, The Way of Edan, was absolutely enthralling. Day Raven's journey. I don't want to give too much away. I really enjoyed Imhar's character. I hope I'm saying that right. And his relationship with Day Raven, and then the dwarves that we have in this book. This book's version of dwarfs. I think I got introduced to an orc that I gotta understand what the thralls are. I'm saying that so wrong. But Orvandil is my favorite character. We have him for the last, I think, 30% of the book or so. He is my favorite character, and I knew from the second that he was characterized, the second that he was introduced, I was like, oh, I'm gonna like this guy. And I don't think I was supposed to. I don't know if I was supposed to. I think that there was supposed to be like the way it came off. It was like very, I I don't know. Who knows what it was supposed to be. Forget what it was supposed to be. What it was for me was immediately this character I took with. There's a quote at the end. I'm going to find, I know the exact page, 437. This is not going to be a spoiler in case you guys are worried. There is something that this character says. Well, I guess maybe the fact that I say that is, wow, I'm really bad at this. Anyways, let me just say this quote. Forget the page that I said was on. It's in the very early parts of the book. Oh man, he goes, I don't want to say that either. All right. Anyways, the context of the scene is very important for this quote, but he goes, everyone's time comes. I'll greet my fate. And now my phone is darkening, so hold on. Let me tap it just to make sure. I don't know what that was. That didn't happen the last few weeks that I've been doing this. I must be on battery saver or something. But yes, everyone's time comes. I'll greet my fate. If that doesn't perfectly describe this character of Orvindil, then I don't know what does. He was superb. Everything about him, the way he changed from being, I cannot get into it. I won't. I'm not going to get into spoilers. I think everybody should go pick this book up. I'm really looking forward to get into book 2. I'm not sure when I'll do that. My goal is before the end of the year. I'm going to be able to pick up The Prophet of Edan. Um, the way that the Holy War is painted in this book is done very well. It's done uniquely, and it is also done in a way that I understand where the brain baby came from. I'm in the middle of a Malazan read, and there are some aspects of the Malazan Empire that I saw a very original take on it, but I saw it dribbled in here, in some places. I don't think I'm correct in saying that there was some Robin Hobb inspiration, but I felt that. I've only read Assassin's Apprentice of hers, so I can't really speak too much to that. Definitely saw the Lord of the Rings influence. This book is darker. I don't want to paint this as dark fantasy. It is pure epic fantasy. There are some scenes in this that are incredibly dark. And if you enjoy dark fantasy or if you enjoy epic fantasy of any kind, this is a book for you. That's all I can say in that regard. Is absolutely fantastic. I highly recommend it. Excited to pick up Prophet of Edan when the time comes, hopefully before the end of the year. Now, I also finished a few chapters of the Berserk Volume 3 Leather Deluxe Edition. I read, it's like a homecoming chapter, and then let's see. Oh, Triumphant Return, Moment of Glory. Wow, I'm glad I opened up to this page. And then both of the Tombstone of Flame chapters, where we have. I'm going again. The manga stuff. I kind of want to get into spoilers. So if you guys are hardy about that stuff and you don't want to read it, I would skip to the next chapter where I discuss what I'm going to be getting into with my reading. But if you don't mind, I'll try and be light on it. But we have Griffith coming back from. So yes, a little spoilery situation here. Again, I don't know how that really works with this particular medium, so forgive me. We have Griffith coming back from a successful battle. We have Guts in a new look, which is kind of cool, with a new sword after what happened in the previous in the Battle of Douldry with Nosferatu throwing him down his sword. That was so cool. Just I know he knew Guts had to know that was the weapon that he was using, and then you see that at the end with the way the art was drawn. And then we got into the Tombstone of Flame chapters here after the Triumphant Return and the Moment of Glory. You kind of see this plot kind of unfolding, how articulate. And you see these nobles who are just not okay with Griffith's uprising, how he's supplied the kingdom of Midland with a hero from the commoners, and how they're just not okay with it. And I love the way that it's being portrayed in this book. I love the Band of the Hawk, their uprising. I love Griffith's keeping his hands clean, and he has Guts's loyalty, and you're seeing Guts's like unwavering loyalty to him and everything that he wants to achieve. And it's very cool. It's very cool to see where Guts is headed. Again, he's super badass. I cannot say that enough. But I'm going to move on from talking about Berserk. I'm going to go into what I am going to read now that I'm done with The Way of Edan. I'm going to continue reading Volume 3 here. I might dive in. I've kind of stepped away from Wolverine, Old Man Logan, the comics. I'm going to get back into that this coming week. I think I'm going to have some more time on my hands. I'm going to pick that up and graze through it a little bit more. I still will be. I haven't touched Empire of the Vampire in the last couple of weeks, simply because I really wanted to get through The Way of Edan. And I had it on my Kindle. I had it here, so I was just doing both. Empire of the Vampire, I think I'm going to continue to try and peck away at with some chapters. It's one of those that I want to read because it's so engaging. Touching my screen again because it's dark. I want to keep reading it because it's very good. And for some reason, I just am really enjoying the reads that I have going. So it's like hard for me to balance between the two right now. I don't know why. I've been pretty good typically at reading more than one book at a time. I think with where I'm at in my personal book, my writing, it's making it more challenging for me to jump between novels, especially multiple fantasy novels. So I think me honing in on one, like usually I'm able to read more books than one at a time. Typically I'm reading sci-fi, fantasy, historical fiction, one of those three, or political thriller. And there's some people in the comments down below who've recommended mysteries and horror, and I'm excited to get into those things. And maybe that's a good way for me to kind of lean off of my fantasy reads and give myself a break. That said, like I love fantasy, and it's a big part of what I want to do. So I'm reading it, but Empire of the Vampire, I'm going to be getting into. I hit my microphone again. We're good. So my next big read is Of War and Ruin. We're going to be doing that. Oh God, that is so hard to see with this light. Of War and Ruin on my Kindle. There, I have all the hardcovers up to this point. I don't have the Of War and Ruin one. I don't have any of them here. But I will be picking up the hardcover of this book because I love the covers of these books. The cover artist who did them is going to be doing my cover art, which I'm very excited about. I can't say he did all of them. I think the early ones were done by Mr. Cahill himself, but I'm very excited to get into Of War and Ruin here. I'm going to be following along with Talking Story, Phillip Chase, the Best of Fantasy, the author of The Way of Edan, Mike's book reviews, and Christopher Navo. I believe they're doing discussions on their channel. They might have Ryan Cahill himself on there. So I like following along with those because I just love hearing those guys converse. And so I'm going to be reading Of War and Ruin to catch up to the point. Like I had been caught up to the point of the Exile. So I'm excited to get into Of War and Ruin. I've heard it's the best of the series. Obviously, so far it's the third book in regard to the big ones. So the Exile was my favorite so far, and we got a lot of Dane, and I'm excited to see where that's going. I'm excited to get back into that world and kind of get the multi POV, the multiple plot threads that we're going to be diving into and seeing where they go. It's a very big chonker of a book, but they are very quick to read, I find, and I say that I don't say that lightly. I mean the prose style is so accessible in a way that it's very easy to follow along and it flows very smoothly. It's paced very well in terms of the other books that I've read. I don't expect anything different from this one. Hopefully I'm able to finish this within 2 weeks time. And then that way I can start Sundered Moon, the Book of Estia here, and finish the Zammar Ahmer's duology. That way I can get to my discussion of that. And then I have some Robin Hobb coming back with Royal Assassin. And that should finish up what I had planned to read this month. I'm going much slower than I had intended, having brought The Failures over into September. So I'm hoping that the books that I bring over into October will allow me to just pick like one or two more for the month of October. I'm going to just be more conservative with the amount of books I choose. I already have some idea of what I want to get into, and I can get into that probably next week or the week after's update. Tomorrow is Friday. It's Thursday right now. Tomorrow's Friday. So tonight we have Thursday Night Football, right? We got the New York Jets going against the New England Patriots, a rivalry that the Jets have gotten the bad end of for almost my whole life, about half of it. Less than half of it, but about half of it. And so that's tonight. And then tomorrow I hear back from this inn upstate in New York, this, I don't want to say tavern, this like hotel in a small, homely place. Homely, I don't even know if that's the right word to use. But it's a earthy spot upstate where there's this artist residency. I submitted my application for it, and hopefully I don't assume I'm going to get picked. It'd be great. It's a cool thing to say that happens. And then you get 5 free nights at a hotel to work on. I get 5 free nights at a hotel to work on my book. So I find that out tomorrow. We're getting into life stuff, I guess is a good way to put it. And then I'll know, I'll announce it next week as if I got it and if I didn't. Either way, I think it was cool that I was able to have something worth submitting for that. And then regards to D&D, let's talk Dungeons and Dragons. Oh, I gotta tap my phone again. There we go. And it shakes a little. I should have expected that. Jake over from Nerd Level Rising, him and I have a live stream next Wednesday. That is, it's Thursday today. Well, I guess you guys are seeing this on Friday. That coming Wednesday, I'm going to be on Nerd Level Rising. I'll link the channel down below. We're going to have a live stream. I think just chatting it up. It's like his version of like talking with tubers or hanging out. And it's going to be kind of cool to just hang out because he's one of the friends I made in this community through Talking Story and John, one of them, one of the many. And I'm excited to get my first live stream down under my belt. I'm going to be on his channel, Nerd Level Rising. Jake and we're going to chat. And then also, he's been organizing a game of Dungeons and Dragons between myself and some other booktubers, which I don't want to be the first one to announce, since it was his thought child. So I'm gonna wait for that. But we had some big updates today. Joe, I'll say there's some other stuff in the distant future that we're also working on. Not it's tabletop RPG, but not D&D. Hopefully that works out as well. But yes, there's some exciting updates in that regard, and I'm really looking forward to getting back to that medium of storytelling, because it totally is. And it's going to be, I think, half of the people haven't played Dungeons and Dragons or a tabletop RPG before. So as far as my knowledge goes, I need a sip of my sparkling Topo Chico water. I'm not sponsored. I shouldn't have to clarify that. Anyways, it's just very good. And I'm looking forward to that game because I haven't played in probably over a year and a half. And D&D was one of those things that inspired me to create a world. I have actually developed a whole game system myself that I just haven't touched since the world kind of grew more important to me. In my story in the book that I'm working on, which again I'm going to get to in a minute here, for those of you who are just here for the reading and life stuff. But yeah, actually that's probably a good transition. Let me move on to what my writing update is. So let's see. Those of you, again, thank you so much for tuning in. If you're just here for the reading stuff, if you came this far, thank you so much. Please leave in the comments what you're currently reading, what your top reads are, things that you recommend, things that you're reading right now, things that you're going to read, things that you have read, any of it. If you're working on a writing project, feel free, please leave that stuff down in the comments below. I love talking about passions and storytelling. I think it's very important that we navigate that with as much passion as we navigate anything. So yes, again, thank you guys so much. Leave a thumbs up. I think that helps. Subscribe, leave comments. And now I'm going to talk about my writing. So transition, smooth transition. There's not going to be an actual transition. So my writing, Mercy, Tears of the Fallen. The book blurb still in the description below. I have a read of the before. I sent the whole prologue in its entirety. Again, not its final form, to the Bearded Book Beast and Nerd Level Rising to get their eyes on just whenever. I didn't want them to feel pressure to read it. And maybe me saying it here is a bad idea. But yeah, I'm excited to hear their thoughts whenever that time comes. And then, of course, after developmental edits, to see the difference between what they're reading now and when it eventually becomes, it will be very cool. Currently at 140,000 words into book 2. I believe I was at 132.5 last week, so that puts me at a week of 7,500 or so. And I think it was a good week. I'm still working on that scene that I was reluctant to write. And I feel it, I feel that reluctance, but it's interesting when you get into the eyes of a character that you think maybe this is the last time that I'm into the eyes of this character. And it's hard. It's very hard. I'm saying a lot, but that's because it's how it feels. It feels uncomfortable, having to be in the eyes of someone possibly for the last time. I think I'm going to have one little more speckled perspective of this character at the very last moments. That way things are transitioned nicely. It's a very hard thing to say because it's not going to be nice at all. I wrote we have a big thing in the world happening that I don't touch on the screen so it doesn't get dark on me. Happening in the world that I cannot dive into just yet. But it will happen in time. You guys will be able to talk this story with me, and it will be so fun, which is one of the reasons why I am doing this, because I just want to share it with everybody. Because it's awesome. It's freaking awesome. And to me, who knows, maybe everybody hates it, but at the end of the day, I'm writing the story that I want to read. And book 1 has been read by a buddy of mine, actually, a very analyzing. He has a very analyzing mind, and I knew getting the book in his hands would be important for my development. And he thoroughly enjoyed it, and I'm excited to have him along as one of my alpha readers. I'm building a pretty good base of those now, and it feels nice to have people that have enjoyed the story to the point of wanting to read the second one. which again is still in development. So book one still in development. We have one more run through after these reads come back, and then we will be doing after that polish a developmental edit, and I should have more news after next month on my cover art, which you guys will be able to see on here. I'll be sure to post it for everybody to see. The Patreon, no movement there. I've been thinking about going Substack or Patreon. I don't know what's better for free content. If you guys know, leave in the comments down below what you think is best. I think either way, something to provide free short stories for you guys, free looks into the world of Mercy before the book comes out, and then after will be very fun to share that in our own community. And without it, whatever, and anybody who wants to come and hang out. So that's it, guys. I'm going to end it here. Thank you so much for tuning into the weekly update. These have been like pretty consistently long. So again, I thank you so much for tuning in. Hopefully the background's a little more appealing to the eyes. I understand how difficult it can be to watch something sometimes. I mean, I just enjoy it for the content when I watch videos. So, but I wanted to make sure I do it for me. I do this to document my writing. I do it to document my reading, and I do it because I want people to talk books with, and talk story with, especially the books that I like to read. Again, leave your comments down below. Anything you guys want to talk about, let's chat. I'll see you guys next week.